The letter arrives on a Tuesday morning. Karen Mitchell, the new HOA president, stands on my porch with a clipboard and a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Behind her, 2 other board members wait by the mailbox like backup singers who forgot their lines. "Mrs. Patterson," she says, handing me a certified envelope. "I'm afraid we have a situation with your front garden." I don't open it right away. I just look at her, at the clipboard, at the car idling in my driveway like they're worried I might chase them off my property. "My vegetable garden?" I ask. "It violates Section 7, Paragraph 3 of the HOA bylaws," she says, tapping the clipboard. "No front yard gardens. Aesthetic standards must be maintained." I tear open the envelope. $5,000. The number sits there on the page like a slap. $5,000 for the tomatoes, cucumbers, and zucchini I planted where my roses used to be. For the raised beds my son helped me build last spring after my husband died. For the one thing that kept me sane during the loneliest summer of my life. "You have 30 days to remove it or face further penalties," Karen says. I look at her, really look at her. She moved into the neighborhood 2 years ago, into one of those cookie-cutter houses at the end of Maple Street. She doesn't know this land, doesn't know its history, but I do. I fold the letter carefully and slide it back into the envelope. "No," I say. Karen blinks. "Excuse me?" I said no. I'm not paying this fine, and I'm not removing my garden. Her smile finally drops. "Mrs. Patterson, if you refuse to comply, we'll place a lien on your property. We can and will take legal action." I step closer, close enough that she takes half a step back. "Let me tell you something about this property," I say quietly. "My grandfather bought this land in 1952, before this HOA existed, before half these houses were even built, before your little rules and your aesthetic standards meant a damn thing." I watch her face change, just slightly, a flicker of uncertainty. "This land is grandfathered, Karen. Your HOA has no jurisdiction here, none. And if you try to enforce this fine, I won't just fight it. I'll make sure everyone in this neighborhood knows exactly what you tried to do." The 2 board members exchange glances. One of them, an older man named Richard, clears his throat. "Are you sure about that?" Karen asks, but her voice has lost its edge. "I have the original deed," I say. "Signed and notarized, dated 1952. I also have a copy of the HOA charter from 1987, 35 years after my family owned this land. You want to take me to court? Go ahead. I'll see you there." Karen's jaw tightens. She glances at her clipboard like it might offer her an escape route. "We'll review the documentation," she says finally. "You do that," I say. "And while you're at it, you might want to review how many other properties in this neighborhood were here before your HOA, because I'm not the only one." I close the door before she can respond. My hands are shaking, not from fear, from adrenaline, from 47 years of being told to be quiet, to be agreeable, to keep the peace. From 6 months of widowhood spent smiling through casseroles and condolences while my world fell apart. I'm done being quiet. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening in the comments. The garden wasn't supposed to be a rebellion. It was supposed to be survival. When Tom died last February, the house became too quiet. Every room echoed with his absence. The den still smelled like his cologne. His coffee mug sat in the cabinet where I couldn't bring myself to move it. At night, I'd wake up reaching for him, and the cold sheets on his side of the bed felt like proof that I'd failed to hold on. People kept telling me to stay busy. My sister flew in from Portland and took me to yoga classes I didn't attend. My daughter, Emma, called every Sunday from Seattle, her voice careful and worried. My son, Marcus, visited when he could, but he had his own family now, his own life 30 miles away in the suburbs. Everyone had advice. No one had answers. Then spring came. I stood in the front yard one morning in early April, staring at the rose bushes Tom had planted 15 years ago. They were overgrown, wild, thorny. I hadn't touched them since the funeral. Looking at them hurt, not because they reminded me of him, but because they reminded me of the version of myself that used to care about roses. I grabbed the shovel from the garage. By noon, the roses were gone. By evening, I'd ordered raised bed kits online. By the end of the week, Marcus came over with his pickup truck, and we built 4 wooden boxes in neat rows across the front lawn. "You sure about this, Mom?" he asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. "I mean, it's the front yard." "I'm sure," I said. And I was. For the first time in months, I was sure about something. I planted tomatoes, cucumbers, zucchini, peppers, herbs along the edges. I worked with my hands in the dirt every morning, and slowly, something inside me started to unknot. The garden didn't bring Tom back, but it reminded me I was still alive, still capable of growing something, still here. By July, the garden was thriving. Neighbors walked by and complimented it. Mrs. Chen from across the street asked for zucchini recipes. The mailman joked about the size of my tomatoes. Even Richard, who'd later show up on my porch with Karen, stopped once to say it looked real nice. No one said a word about HOA rules, not until Karen Mitchell got elected president. The HOA meeting happens on a Thursday night. I wasn't planning to go. I've lived here for 23 years and attended exactly 2 meetings, once when they installed speed bumps and once when someone's dog kept getting loose. Both times, I signed the attendance sheet and left early. But tonight is different. Tonight, I need them to see my face. The meeting is held in the community center, a squat brick building at the edge of the neighborhood near the retention pond. Inside, it smells like old carpet and burnt coffee. Folding chairs are arranged in uneven rows facing a long table where Karen sits flanked by 4 other board members. About 30 people are scattered through the room. Most of them I recognize. Neighbors I've waved to, borrowed hedge trimmers from, seen at block parties. A few faces are new. The neighborhood has changed. Houses that used to hold retirees now hold young families. The old corner store is a Starbucks. The empty lot where kids used to play baseball is a gated townhouse complex. I take a seat in the 3rd row, next to Mrs. Chen. I heard, she whispers, $5,000. That's criminal. It's about to get worse for them. I whisper back. Karen calls the meeting to order. She goes through the usual business: landscaping proposals, pool maintenance schedules, complaints about someone's trash cans. Her voice is clipped and efficient, like she's running a corporate board meeting instead of a neighborhood association. Then she gets to violations. We've had several issues this quarter with residents failing to maintain community standards, she says, flipping through her notes. Unapproved paint colors, holiday decorations left up past the deadline, and one significant case involving an unauthorized front yard garden. A few people glance my way. Karen doesn't say my name. She doesn't have to. The board has issued a fine of $5,000 with a 30-day compliance window. If the violation isn't corrected, we'll proceed with placing a lien on the property. Richard, sitting to her left, shifts uncomfortably in his chair. A younger man in the front row raises his hand. Who are we talking about? I'm not at liberty to disclose. I stand up. It's me, I say. The room goes quiet. Karen's eyes lock onto mine. For a second, I see something flicker there. Surprise, maybe, or irritation that I've disrupted her script. Mrs. Patterson, she says slowly. This isn't the time. No, I think it is, I say. I step into the aisle so everyone can see me. Karen just told you all I'm being fined $5,000 for growing vegetables in my front yard. What she didn't tell you is that my property predates this HOA by 35 years. Murmurs ripple through the room. That's not relevant, Karen says, her voice sharpening. The HOA bylaws apply to all properties within the subdivision boundaries. Not mine, I say. My grandfather purchased this land in 1952, long before any of these houses existed. The deed is grandfathered. Your HOA charter, which was established in 1987, has no legal authority over my property. Richard leans toward Karen and whispers something. She waves him off. Mrs. Patterson, I understand you're upset. I'm not upset, I say. I'm informed. I've reviewed the original deed. I've reviewed your charter. And I've spoken to a real estate attorney who confirmed that grandfathered properties are exempt from retroactive enforcement of HOA rules. The murmurs get louder. A woman in the back raises her hand. Wait, so the HOA can't actually fine her? That's correct, I say. Karen's face is flushed now. This is not the forum. You made it the forum when you announced my fine in a public meeting, I say. I turn to face the rest of the room. How many of you have lived here longer than the HOA has existed? How many of you bought your homes before 1987? A few hands go up. Not many. Maybe 5 or 6. You might want to check your deeds, I say. Because if your property is grandfathered like mine, the HOA can't touch you either. Karen stands abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. This meeting is not a legal consultation. If Mrs. Patterson wishes to dispute the fine, she can do so through the proper channels. I'm not disputing it, I say. I'm refusing it. And if you try to place a lien on my property, I will sue this HOA for harassment and overreach, and I'll win. The room erupts. People are talking over each other now, some asking questions, others demanding answers. Richard looks like he wants to disappear into his chair. The other board members are whispering frantically. Karen slams her hand on the table. "This meeting is adjourned," she snaps. She gathers her papers and walks out, heels clicking sharply against the linoleum. The other board members follow, looking shell-shocked. I stay where I am, heart pounding. Mrs. Chen touches my arm. "You did good," she says quietly. "I hope so," I say, because I just declared war on my own neighborhood association, and I have no idea what comes next. The backlash starts the next morning. I'm watering the garden when my phone buzzes. It's a text from a number I don't recognize. "You're making this neighborhood look trashy. Take down the garden." Then another. "People like you ruin property values." Then another. "You think you're special because you've been here longer? You're not." I block the numbers and keep watering. By noon, there are 6 more messages. By evening, someone leaves a note on my windshield. Comply or leave. I take a photo of it and save it to a folder on my phone labeled Evidence. Marcus calls that night. "Mom, are you okay?" he asks. "I heard about the meeting." "I'm fine," I say, though my voice sounds tired even to me. "People are talking. Some of them are saying you embarrassed the HOA, that you made a scene." "I told the truth," I say. "I know. I'm not saying you were wrong. I'm just saying, be careful. These people have power. Not over me, they don't." There's a pause. Then he says, "I'm proud of you, you know. Dad would be too." My throat tightens. "Thanks, sweetheart." After we hang up, I sit on the porch in the growing dark, listening to the crickets and the distant hum of traffic on the main road. The garden smells like earth and tomatoes. The zucchini leaves rustle in the breeze. Tom used to sit out here with me. We'd drink iced tea and talk about nothing. He'd make bad jokes. I'd laugh. I miss him so much it physically hurts. But I'm not backing down. Not for Karen. Not for the HOA. Not for anyone. This garden is mine. This land is mine. And I'm going to fight for it. The lawyer's office smells like leather and old books. I sit across from Daniel Reeves, a real estate attorney in his early 60s, with gray hair and reading glasses perched on his nose. His desk is covered in documents. My documents. The original deed from 1952, the HOA charter from 1987, the fine notice, the threatening letters. He's been reading for 20 minutes while I sit in silence, my hands folded in my lap. Finally, he looks up. "They don't have a case," he says. I exhale. I didn't realize I'd been holding my breath. "Your property is textbook grandfathered," he continues, tapping the deed. "It predates the HOA by 35 years. They have no authority to impose bylaws retroactively on land that was privately owned before the association existed. So the fine is invalid? Completely. And if they try to enforce it, if they attempt to place a lien or take any legal action, they're opening themselves up to a countersuit for harassment and abuse of power." He slides a document across the desk toward me. "This is a cease and desist letter. It formally notifies the HOA that their fine is unlawful, demands they rescind it immediately, and warns them that any further action will result in legal consequences. I can send it today if you authorize it." I pick up the letter and read through it. The language is sharp, unambiguous. It doesn't ask, it demands. "Send it," I say. Daniel nods and makes a note. "There's one more thing you should know. If this goes to court, and I don't think it will, but if it does, you'll win. Easily. But it'll be public. The HOA will likely try to paint you as difficult, uncooperative. They'll make it about community standards and property values. Let them," I say. "I'm not the one breaking the law." He smiles slightly. "Good. Because in my experience, HOAs like this one back down fast once they realize they're legally exposed. They're used to intimidating people who don't know their rights. You do." I stand and shake his hand. "Thank you. Thank you," he says. "It's not often I get to put an HOA in its place. This one's going to be satisfying." The letter is sent by certified mail the next day. I don't hear anything for 3 days. Not from Karen, not from the board, not even a passive-aggressive note on my windshield. It's eerie, this silence, like the moment before a storm breaks. Then, on Saturday morning, the phone rings. It's Richard, the older board member who'd been at my porch with Karen. "Mrs. Patterson," he says, his voice cautious. "I hope I'm not calling at a bad time." "That depends on why you're calling," I say. He clears his throat. "I wanted to apologize for the way this situation was handled. I didn't know your property was grandfathered. Karen didn't mention it. She just said there was a violation, and we needed to enforce the rules." I don't respond. I wait. "The board received your lawyer's letter," he continues. "We've discussed it, privately, and, well, the consensus is that we should drop the fine." "The consensus?" I repeat. "What about Karen?" Another pause. Karen feels that we should stand firm. She believes backing down sets a bad precedent, so she wants to take me to court? She wants to negotiate. She suggested that if you agree to relocate the garden to the backyard, the board would waive the fine entirely. I laugh. I can't help it. It's sharp and humorless. "Richard, let me be very clear. I'm not negotiating. I'm not moving my garden. And I'm not accepting any deals. Your HOA has no authority over my property. That's not an opinion. It's a legal fact. If Karen wants to push this, she's welcome to. But she'll lose." "I understand," he says quietly. "I just wanted you to know that not everyone on the board agrees with her approach." "Then maybe you should elect a new president," I say, and hang up. My hands are trembling again. But this time, it's not adrenaline. It's anger, the kind that sits cold and heavy in your chest. They're still trying to control me, still trying to make me compromise, to bend, to give up something that's mine, just to make their lives easier. I'm done compromising. By Monday, the neighborhood has chosen sides. Mrs. Chen stops by with a casserole and a fierce hug. "You fight them," she says. "They need to learn they can't bully people." 2 houses down, a younger couple, Jake and Priya, knock on my door with a 6-pack of craft beer and questions. "Our house was built in 1985, Jake says. "Does that mean we're grandfathered too?" "Check your deed," I say. "If your property predates the HOA, you are." Priya grins. "We're going to paint our front door red. The HOA told us it had to be earth tones only." Screw that. But not everyone is supportive. A woman named Diane, who lives 3 streets over, stops me at the mailbox. She's in her 40s, impeccably dressed, and wearing the kind of smile that doesn't reach anywhere near her eyes. "I heard about your little situation," she says. "I'm sure you did," I say, opening my mailbox. "I just think it's unfortunate. You're dividing the neighborhood. People are upset. People are upset that I'm growing vegetables. People are upset that you think the rules don't apply to you." I close the mailbox and turn to face her fully. "The rules don't apply to me, Diane. Legally. My property is exempt. If that upsets people, maybe they should ask themselves why they're so invested in controlling what I do with my own land." Her smile tightens. "It's not about control. It's about community. About everyone contributing to a standard that keeps this neighborhood desirable." "Desirable to who?" I ask. "Because my tomatoes aren't hurting anyone. But this HOA is hurting me. And if you can't see the difference, that's your problem, not mine." She doesn't have an answer for that. She just turns and walks back to her house, heels clicking on the sidewalk. I stand there for a moment, watching her go. This is what it comes down to, I think. People like Diane don't care about rules. They care about conformity, about everyone looking the same, acting the same, living the same curated life, behind the same beige fences. But I've spent too many years being invisible in my own life, playing the role, smiling when I didn't feel like smiling, staying quiet when I wanted to scream. I'm visible now, and I'm not apologizing for it. The second HOA meeting happens 2 weeks later. This time, I'm ready. I bring a folder with copies of my deed, the HOA charter, and Daniel's cease and desist letter. I also bring Marcus, who takes the day off work to sit beside me. Emma wanted to fly in from Seattle, but I told her not to. This isn't her fight. Not yet. The community center is more crowded this time. Word has spread. People want to see what happens. Karen sits at the head table, her expression unreadable. Richard is there, looking uncomfortable. The other board members, 2 women and a man I don't recognize, look like they'd rather be anywhere else. Karen calls the meeting to order. She goes through the agenda quickly, avoiding eye contact with me. When she gets to new business, she pauses. "The board has reviewed the situation regarding Mrs. Patterson's property," she says carefully. "After consulting with our HOA attorney, we've determined that her property does fall under a grandfathered status, which exempts it from certain bylaws. A few people murmur in surprise. However, Karen continues, her voice hardening, we believe this exemption is being misused. The spirit of the HOA is to maintain community standards. Just because a property is technically exempt doesn't mean the owner should disregard the aesthetic values of the neighborhood. Marcus leans toward me. Is she serious? He whispers. She's desperate, I whisper back. Karen looks directly at me. Mrs. Patterson, while we're rescinding the fine, we're asking, as a courtesy, that you consider the impact your garden has on your neighbors. Perhaps a compromise. I stand up. No, I say. Karen blinks. Excuse me? I said no. There's no compromise here. You issued an unlawful fine. You threatened me with legal action. And now that you've been called out, you want me to voluntarily do what you couldn't legally force me to do. I pull the folder from my bag and hold it up. This is my deed. Signed in 1952. This is your charter. Signed in 1987. 35 years later. You have no authority over my land. None. And I'm not asking for permission to use my own property the way I see fit. The room is dead silent. I'm growing vegetables, I continue, my voice steady. Not running a junkyard. Not hosting raves. Not doing anything that harms anyone. I'm growing food. And the fact that you think that's a problem says everything about this HOA and nothing about me. I sit back down. Karen's face is red. She opens her mouth, closes it, then looks at Richard. Richard stands slowly. I move that we formally acknowledge Mrs. Patterson's grandfathered status and close this matter permanently. One of the women on the board seconds it immediately. Karen looks like she wants to argue, but she doesn't. She can't. She knows she's lost. All in favor? She says tightly. 4 hands go up. Only Karen abstains. Motion passes, Richard says. Karen gathers her papers and stands. This meeting is adjourned, she says, and walks out without another word. The room erupts in conversation. A few people come over to shake my hand, to congratulate me. Mrs. Chen hugs me so hard I can barely breathe. Marcus grins. You did it, Mom. We did it, I say, squeezing his hand. But as we walk out into the cool evening air, I feel something unexpected. Not triumph, not relief, exhaustion. The garden keeps growing. By late August, the tomatoes are heavy on the vines. The zucchini is relentless. I give away bags of produce to neighbors, to the food bank, to anyone who'll take it. The harassment stops. The texts, the notes, the cold stares, gone. It's like the neighborhood collectively decided to move on. Karen resigns from the HOA board a week after the second meeting. No explanation. Just a brief email to the residents saying she's stepping down to focus on personal matters. Richard is elected interim president. He sends me a handwritten note, apologizing again, and thanking me for standing up for what's right. I frame it and hang it in the kitchen. But the victory feels hollow. One evening, I'm sitting on the porch with a glass of wine, watching the sun set over the garden. The light turns everything golden. The tomato plants, the zucchini leaves, the wooden raised beds Marcus built with me. This was supposed to make me feel alive again, and it did for a while. But now, in the quiet after the war, I just feel tired. I miss Tom. I miss the life we had. I miss feeling like I belong somewhere. Fighting the HOA gave me purpose, but now that it's over, what's left? My phone buzzes. It's a text from Emma. Mom, I'm so proud of you. You're a badass. I smile, but my eyes are wet. Maybe that's enough. Maybe being a badass, being someone my kids are proud of, is enough for now. I finish my wine and go inside. The garden will still be there tomorrow, and so will I. September arrives with cooler mornings and the first hints of autumn. I'm harvesting the last of the tomatoes when a car pulls up to the curb. It's not a neighbor. It's a silver sedan with a dent in the front bumper and a bumper sticker that reads, "Support local farms." A woman gets out. She's younger than me, maybe mid-30s, with dark hair pulled into a messy bun and dirt under her fingernails. She's wearing overalls and a flannel shirt. "Mrs. Patterson?" she calls out. I stand, brushing soil from my knees. That's me. She walks up the driveway with an easy, confident stride. I'm Sarah Mendoza. I run the community garden over on Brookfield Avenue. I heard about what you did with the HOA. News travels fast, I say. She grins. In gardening circles? Lightning fast? You're kind of a local hero. I laugh, surprised. I don't know about that. Are you kidding? You took on an HOA and won. That's legend status. She glances at the garden, her eyes lighting up. And this is beautiful. Are those heirloom tomatoes? Cherokee purples, I say. And some brandywines. Wow. She crouches down to examine the plants, her fingers gentle on the leaves. These are incredible. You really know what you're doing. I'm learning, I say. Trial and error, mostly. She stands and turns to me. Listen, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I have a proposition. We're expanding the community garden, and we need experienced gardeners to help mentor new members. A lot of them are first-timers, young families, retirees, people who've never grown anything before. Would you be interested? I hesitate. I'm not sure I'm qualified to teach anyone. You kidding? You're exactly who we need. Someone who's passionate, knowledgeable, and, let's be honest, tough as nails. Plus, the community could use more people like you. People who aren't afraid to fight for what's right. Something shifts in my chest, a small, unexpected warmth. When do you meet? I ask. Saturdays, 9 to noon. First session is this weekend. No pressure, just come check it out. See if it's your thing. She hands me a flyer with the address and her phone number. I'll think about it, I say. That's all I ask. She starts back toward her car, then pauses. By the way, your garden? It's inspiring. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. She drives off, leaving me standing in the driveway with the flyer in my hand. I look back at the garden, at the raised beds, at the tomatoes glowing red in the late summer sun. Maybe this is what comes next. Saturday morning, I drive to Brookfield Avenue. The community garden is tucked behind an old church, a sprawling patch of land divided into neat plots with gravel pathways winding between them. There are maybe 20 people scattered across the space, some weeding, some planting, some just standing around talking. Sarah spots me immediately and waves. You came. I did, I say, suddenly feeling self-conscious. I don't know these people. What if I don't belong here either? But Sarah loops her arm through mine and pulls me into the garden like we've been friends for years. Everyone, this is Claire Patterson. She's the one who beat the HOA. A few people look up. A man in his 20s with a nose ring grins. No way. You're a legend. That's what I keep hearing, I say, embarrassed. Sarah introduces me to the group. There's Miguel, a retired teacher who grows peppers. There's Keisha, a nurse who's trying to start an herb garden. There's an older couple, Bill and June, who've been gardening together for 40 years. There's Amir, a grad student researching urban agriculture. They're all different ages, different backgrounds, different reasons for being here, but they're all kind, and they all love growing things. Sarah puts me to work helping a young woman named Lisa, who's trying to plant her first fall vegetables. Lisa is maybe 30, with a baby strapped to her chest in a carrier. She looks overwhelmed. I have no idea what I'm doing, she admits, laughing nervously. I've killed every houseplant I've ever owned. Then you're starting in the right place, I say. Outdoor plants are way more forgiving. We spend the next hour planting lettuce, spinach, and kale. I show her how to space the seeds, how deep to plant them, how to water without drowning them. She asks a million questions, and I answer every one. By the end, her plot looks neat and promising. She stands back, hands on her hips, beaming. I did that, she says, like she can't quite believe it. You did, I say, and in a few weeks, you'll have fresh greens. Her eyes get a little wet. Thank you, seriously, I needed this. I understand exactly what she means. I start going to the community garden every Saturday. At first, it's just to help, to teach people how to prune tomatoes, how to deal with aphids, how to tell when squash is ready to harvest. But slowly, it becomes more than that. It becomes community. Miguel teaches me how to roast peppers. Keisha brings fresh mint from her plot and makes tea for everyone. Bill and June share stories about the garden they had in the 70s, back when they were newlyweds. Amir talks about food deserts and urban farming initiatives, and how gardens like this one are changing neighborhoods. One Saturday, Sarah pulls me aside. You're really good at this, she says. The mentoring. People trust you. I'm just sharing what I know, I say. It's more than that. You make people feel like they can do it, like it's not scary. She pauses. We're planning a fall workshop series. Basic gardening skills, composting, seed saving. Would you be willing to co-teach? Me? Teach a workshop? Why not? You've been doing it every week anyway. This would just be more official. I think about it. 6 months ago, I was alone in my house, drowning in grief. Now, I'm standing in a garden surrounded by people who actually want to hear what I have to say. Okay, I say. I'll do it. Sarah grins. Hell yes, this is going to be great. The workshop happens in mid-October. We hold it on a crisp Saturday morning, the air smelling like wood smoke and fallen leaves. About 15 people show up, some from the community garden, some from the neighborhood, some from farther out. I'm nervous. I've never taught anything before. But Sarah hands me a microphone and gives me an encouraging nod, and I take a deep breath. Hi, everyone. I'm Claire Patterson, and a year ago, I didn't know the first thing about gardening. A few people laugh. I started because I needed something to do with my hands, something that felt like growth instead of loss. And what I learned is that gardening isn't just about plants. It's about patience, about trust, about believing that if you put in the work, something good will come from it. I talk about soil, about compost, about choosing the right plants for the season. I answer questions. I show people how to transplant seedlings without damaging the roots. And the whole time, I feel something I haven't felt in a long time. Purpose. After the workshop, a woman in her 50s approaches me. She has kind eyes and a soft voice. I just wanted to thank you, she says. I've been thinking about starting a garden since my husband passed last year, but I didn't know how. Hearing you talk about it, it made me feel like I could. My throat tightens. You can, I say. Trust me. If I can do it, anyone can. She hugs me, and I hug her back, because I know exactly what she's feeling. By late October, the garden at home is winding down for the season. The tomatoes are done, the zucchini has bolted, but I've planted fall crops, kale, broccoli, carrots, and I'm already planning for next spring. Marcus and his family come over for Sunday dinner. His kids, Lily and Ben, run around the yard while Marcus helps me pull up the spent tomato plants. You seem different, Mom, he says. Different how? Happier, lighter. I pause, leaning on the shovel. I am. I didn't realize how much I needed this. Not just the garden, but the people, the community. Dad would have loved this, Marcus says quietly. He would have hated the HOA drama, I say with a small laugh. Oh, definitely. But he would have been proud of you, for standing up for yourself, for building something good out of something hard. I wipe my eyes before the tears can fall. I miss him. I know. Me too. We work in silence for a while, pulling up plants and adding them to the compost pile. The kids' laughter echoes from the backyard. You know, Marcus says, Lily's been asking if she can have a garden at our house. She says Grandma makes it look fun. I smile. Then let's build her one. The neighborhood changes in small ways. Jake and Priya paint their door bright red. The HOA doesn't say a word. Mrs. Chen plants a small herb garden in her front yard. Rosemary and basil and thyme. 2 streets over, an older man named Frank starts growing sunflowers. They tower over his fence, bright yellow against the blue sky. It's like the fight I had gave other people permission to do what they wanted with their own land. Richard, the new HOA president, stops by one afternoon. I wanted to thank you, he says, for shaking things up. I didn't mean to cause trouble, I say. You didn't cause trouble. You exposed it. The HOA was overreaching. We needed someone to call it out. He glances at the garden. And honestly, this looks better than roses ever did. I laugh. Don't let the rosebush people hear you say that. Too late. I already voted to loosen the landscaping restrictions. If people want vegetables, they should be able to grow vegetables. If they want sunflowers, they should grow sunflowers. As long as it's not a health hazard, it's their property. That's a big change, I say. Yeah, well, you inspired it. He tips his head. So thank you. After he leaves, I sit on the porch and look out at the garden. It's smaller now, the plant's dying back for winter. But it's still here, still mine. And next spring, it'll come back even stronger. In early November, I get a call from a local newspaper. A reporter named Jennifer wants to do a story about the HOA case and the community garden movement it sparked. It's not just about you, she says. It's about how one person's fight can change a whole community. I think it's a story people need to hear. I'm hesitant. I don't want to be the center of attention. But Sarah convinces me. This could help the garden, get more people involved. Plus, you've earned the right to tell your story. So I agree. Jennifer comes to the house on a gray afternoon. She's young, eager, with a notebook full of questions. She asks about Tom, about the garden, about the HOA, about what I've learned. I tell her the truth, that I didn't set out to be a hero. I just wanted to grow tomatoes. That grief makes you do strange things. Sometimes it makes you shrink. Sometimes it makes you fight. That standing up for yourself is terrifying. But staying silent is worse. That community isn't just about living near people. It's about connecting with them, supporting them, growing together. The article runs 2 weeks later with a photo of me standing in the garden, smiling. The headline reads, "How One Woman's Garden Grew into a Movement." I frame it and hang it next to Richard's note. Winter comes slowly. The garden sleeps under a layer of mulch. The raised beds sit empty, waiting for spring. But I'm not waiting. I'm planning, sketching out next year's layout, researching new varieties, talking to Sarah about expanding my role at the community garden. Emma calls one night. "Mom, I saw the article. It made me cry." "Good tears or bad tears?" I ask. "Good tears. I'm just so proud of you. You've turned something awful into something beautiful." "I had help," I say. "From you, from Marcus, from people I didn't even know 6 months ago. Still, you did this. You should be proud too." After we hang up, I sit in the quiet house and realize something. I am proud, not just of the garden, not just of beating the HOA, but of myself, for surviving, for fighting, for building something new from the wreckage of loss. Tom would be proud too. And maybe that's the point. Not to move on from grief, but to move forward with it, to carry it, and still choose to grow. The garden taught me that, and I'm never going to stop growing. Spring comes back around like a promise kept. I'm in the garden on the first truly warm day of March, turning the soil in the raised beds. The earth is dark and rich, full of last year's compost. It smells like rain and new beginnings. My phone buzzes. It's Sarah. Big news. "Call me when you can." I wipe my hands on my jeans and dial. "Claire." "Okay, don't freak out, but we got the grant." "What grant?" "The urban agriculture grant I applied for back in January. $50,000 to expand the community garden and create educational programs. And guess who the board wants as head instructor?" My stomach flips. "Sarah, I can't." "Yes, you can. You're perfect for it. And it's paid. Not a lot, but enough. Think about it. You could do this full time. Teach people how to grow food, build community, change lives." I sit down on the porch steps, phone pressed to my ear. A year ago, I was drowning. Now, someone is offering me a lifeline I didn't even know I needed. "I'll think about it," I say. "Think fast. I need an answer by next week." She pauses. "Claire, you've already been doing this. This just makes it official and compensated." After we hang up, I sit in the quiet morning, watching the sunlight move across the garden. Tom and I used to talk about what we'd do when he retired. Travel, maybe. Volunteer. Spend time with the grandkids. We never got that chance. But maybe this is my version of that dream. Not what I planned, but something real, something that matters. I talked to Marcus about it that weekend. We're at his house, watching Lily and Ben play in the backyard. Marcus is grilling burgers, and I'm sitting on the deck with a glass of lemonade. "What do you think I should do?" I ask. He flips a burger, considering. "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. Part of me is scared. I've never had a job like this. What if I'm not good enough?" "Mom, you literally took on an HOA and won. You've been teaching people to garden for months. You wrote an article that went semi-viral. If you're not good enough, nobody is. But what if it doesn't work out?" He turns to look at me. "Then you'll figure something else out. Just like you did when Dad died. Just like you did with the HOA. You're a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for." Lily runs up to the deck, grass-stained and breathless. "Grandma, can we plant flowers today? Please?" I smile. "Of course, sweetheart." Marcus watches us walk toward the shed where he keeps the gardening tools. When I glance back, he's grinning. "That's your answer, Mom," he calls out. "Right there." I call Sarah on Monday morning. "I'll do it," I say. She screams so loud I have to pull the phone away from my ear. "Yes! Oh my God, yes! This is going to be amazing! I'll send you the details. We start planning next week." When I hang up, my hands are shaking. But this time, it's not fear. It's excitement. By April, the new community garden program is in full swing. We've expanded the garden to include 20 new plots. We've built a tool shed and a small greenhouse. We've started weekly workshops on everything from composting to beekeeping to cooking with seasonal produce. And I'm teaching 3 classes a week. It's exhausting. It's overwhelming. And it's the best thing I've done in years. One Saturday, I'm leading a workshop on starting seeds indoors when I notice a woman standing at the back of the group. She looks familiar, but I can't place her. After the workshop, she approaches me. "Mrs. Patterson? I don't know if you remember me. I'm Diane, from the neighborhood." I remember. The woman who'd confronted me at the mailbox, who'd accused me of dividing the community. I remember, I say carefully. She looks uncomfortable. "I wanted to apologize for what I said last year. I was wrong. I didn't understand what you were fighting for, but I see it now. What you've built here, it's incredible, and I'd like to be part of it, if you'll have me." I study her face. She looks sincere. "There's a plot available in the west section," I say. "Come by next Saturday, and I'll help you get started." Her eyes well up. "Thank you." After she leaves, Sarah nudges me. "That was big of you." "People change," I say. "Or maybe they were just scared." Either way, she's here now. That's what matters. In May, the neighborhood HOA holds its annual meeting. I attend for the first time in over a year. Richard is still president, and the board has changed. Karen is long gone. Someone told me she moved to a different neighborhood. 2 of the new board members are people I know from the community garden. The meeting is different this time, less formal, more collaborative. Richard opens the floor for discussion, and a young man raises his hand. "I wanted to propose adding a community garden clause to the HOA bylaws, something that officially allows residents to grow food in their yards, front or back, as long as it's maintained." Murmurs of approval ripple through the room. Richard nods. "I think that's a great idea. All in favor?" Every hand goes up. It passes unanimously. After the meeting, Richard pulls me aside. "You started something," he says. "You know that, right?" "I just wanted to grow tomatoes," I say. "Yeah, but it became more than that. You gave people permission to do what they wanted with their own land. You reminded us that rules should serve people, not control them." He shakes my hand. "Thank you." By June, the garden at home is thriving again. Tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, beans. The raised beds are overflowing. I've added 2 more beds this year, and I'm experimenting with melons. Emma visits for a week in July. We spend hours in the garden together, talking and weeding and harvesting. "You seem happy, Mom," she says one evening as we sit on the porch with iced tea. "I am," I say. "It took a while. But yeah, I'm happy." "Do you still miss Dad?" "Every day," I say honestly. "But it doesn't hurt the same way it used to. It's more like he's part of the garden now, part of everything I'm growing." Emma leans her head on my shoulder. "He'd be so proud of you." "I hope so," I say. In August, the community garden hosts its first harvest festival. It's a warm Saturday afternoon, and the garden is packed with people. There's music, food, kids running around. Tables are piled high with produce, tomatoes, squash, beans, herbs, everything grown by the members. I'm manning the seed-saving station, teaching people how to collect and store seeds for next year, when I see a familiar face. Lisa, the young woman I helped on my first day at the garden. She's carrying her daughter, who's bigger now, almost a year old. "Claire!" she calls out, waving. I walk over and hug her. "How's your plot doing?" "Amazing. I've got lettuce, kale, and tomatoes. I can't believe I'm actually growing food." She grins. "And it's all because you took the time to show me how." Her daughter reaches out and grabs a strand of my hair. I laugh and gently untangle it. "You did the work," I say. "I just pointed you in the right direction. Still, you changed my life." I mean it. After she walks away, I stand there feeling overwhelmed in the best possible way. This is what it was all for. Not the fight with the HOA, not the article, not even the garden itself. It was for this, for connection, for community, for showing people that they're capable of more than they think. Sarah finds me later, near the greenhouse. "Hey, got a second?" "Sure." She hands me an envelope. "This came for you, from the county extension office." I open it. Inside is a certificate and a letter. "Dear Ms. Patterson, congratulations. You have been selected as this year's recipient of the Community Leadership in Urban Agriculture Award. Your work with the Brookfield Community Garden and your dedication to teaching sustainable food practices have made a significant impact on our region. We would like to invite you to speak at our annual conference in October." I stare at the letter, stunned. "You deserve it," Sarah says. "You've done more for this community in 1 year than most people do in a lifetime." "I just grew some vegetables," I say weakly. "No, you grew a movement. There's a difference." That night I sit in the garden alone. The sun is setting, painting everything gold and orange. The tomatoes glow like little lanterns on the vines. The air smells like basil and earth and summer. I think about where I was a year ago, broken, angry, lost, and I think about where I am now. I'm not the same person. Grief changed me. The fight with the HOA changed me. But so did this garden. So did the people I've met, the lives I've touched, the community I've helped build. Tom used to say that the best way to honor someone's memory is to live fully, to not waste the time you have. I didn't understand that at first. After he died, I didn't know how to live at all. But now I do. Living fully doesn't mean being happy all the time. It doesn't mean the pain goes away. It means choosing to grow anyway. To plant seeds even when you're not sure they'll bloom. To fight for what's right even when it's hard. To connect with people even when it's scary. It means turning grief into something that feeds the world. I stand and walk through the garden, running my hands over the plants. Each one is a choice I made, a risk I took, a belief that something good could come from pain. And it did. September comes around again, exactly 1 year since the HOA fight began. I'm invited to speak at the neighborhood's community day. It's a small event, maybe 100 people, but Richard thought it would be meaningful for me to share my story. I stand on a small stage in the park, microphone in hand, looking out at familiar faces, neighbors, friends, people I fought with, and people I fought for. A year ago, I begin. I received a letter telling me I was being fined $5,000 for growing vegetables in my front yard. A few people chuckle. I could have paid the fine. I could have moved the garden. I could have stayed quiet and kept the peace. I pause, but I didn't, because sometimes keeping the peace means losing yourself, and I'd already lost enough. The crowd is silent, listening. What I learned is that standing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary. And when you do it, when you refuse to shrink, refuse to apologize for taking up space, you give other people permission to do the same. I look out at the faces, at Mrs. Chen, at Jake and Priya, at Diane, who's standing near the back, at Lisa, holding her daughter, at Sarah, who's grinning like a proud parent. This garden started as a way to survive grief, but it became something bigger. It became a community, a movement, a reminder that we're all capable of growing something beautiful, even in the hardest soil. I take a breath. So thank you for supporting me, for standing with me, for planting your own gardens and living your own truths. Let's keep growing together. The applause is thunderous. Later that evening, I'm back home, sitting on the porch with a cup of tea. Marcus pulls up with Lily and Ben. They come running up the driveway, carrying a small potted plant. "Grandma, we grew this for you," Lily says, breathless. It's a tomato seedling, small and green and perfect. "We started it from seeds you gave us," Ben adds proudly. I take the pot, my throat tight. "It's beautiful. Thank you." Marcus smiles. "They wanted to plant it in your garden, if that's okay?" "More than okay," I say. We walk out to the garden together, and the kids dig a small hole near the front bed. They carefully transplant the seedling, packing the soil around it with their small hands. "There," Lily says, stepping back. "Now it's part of Grandma's garden forever." I kneel down and pull them both into a hug. "Forever," I repeat. That night, as the stars come out and the crickets sing, I sit in the garden one last time. The tomato plants are heavy with fruit. The peppers are bright red and yellow. The beans climb their trellises toward the sky. Everything is growing, including me. I think about the letter that started it all, the fine, the fight, the fear. And I think about what came after, the victory, the community, the purpose. I didn't plan any of this. I just wanted to survive. But survival turned into something more. It turned into a life worth living. Tom would have loved this garden. He would have loved the community, the workshops, the kids running through the plots on Saturday mornings. And I think he'd be proud of the woman I've become. Not because I won a fight, but because I kept growing, even when it was hard, even when I didn't think I could. I stand and walk back to the house, leaving the garden to sleep under the stars. Tomorrow, I'll be back, watering, weeding, teaching, growing, because that's what gardens do. They teach you that life is cyclical, that endings are also beginnings, that something beautiful can grow from broken ground. And I'm not done growing yet, not even close. Epilogue. 1 year later, the garden has become legendary in the neighborhood. People drive by just to see it. The local news did a follow-up story. The community garden program has expanded to 3 locations across the county. And me? I'm still here, still teaching, still growing. But the best part isn't the awards or the recognition. It's the people. It's Lisa, who now runs her own plot and teaches other new gardeners. It's Mrs. Chen, who started a seed library in her garage. It's Jake and Priya, whose red door is now famous on Instagram. It's Diane, who quietly volunteers every Saturday and never misses a workshop. It's Marcus, who built raised beds for his kids and teaches them about patience and growth. It's Emma, who's planning to start a rooftop garden in Seattle. It's every person who looked at my garden and thought, maybe I can do that too. That's the real legacy. Not the tomatoes, not the victory over the HOA. The legacy is permission. The permission to take up space, to fight for what's yours, to grow something beautiful from pain. I still miss Tom. I always will. But I'm not stuck in grief anymore. I'm living alongside it, carrying it with me as I move forward. Because that's what gardens teach you. You can't stop the seasons from changing. You can't prevent loss or pain or endings. But you can plant seeds. You can tend them with care. And you can trust that something good will grow, even in the hardest soil, especially in the hardest soil. And that's exactly what I intend to keep doing, one seed at a time.